Yeah, that looks like it's working. All right. Dan Swede with Hydrochem Systems. I'm here with Kevin Mills from Hydro Clean Sanitation out of Texas, and we're going to go through a training regimen for him, and we got paper so you have the copy to take home with him. Typically, this is our beast. It's a high volume hot water power washer, obviously. It's off the charts when it comes to specs. A lot of guys are 22 horse Hondas or smaller. This is a 31 horse, 896 cc big block Vanguard engine on here. Vanguard is now like produced by Toyota Motor Company, so real well backed brand. Typically, if you take care of these, service, oil changes, etc., I've seen them average between 4,300 and 4,500 hours of life, which is about 300,000 miles of highway driving. So it kind of makes, you know, Dodge, Chevy, and Ford look, look bad.
Within the shame, yeah.
It's crazy when you see the amount of hours, and it's always on an 80%, 85% load. It's like a pickup truck with a 10,000 pound trailer all day long, still giving you 300,000 miles. It's really a highly respected engine in the industry. It can normally double the life of maybe the Honda powered ones. Honda is good, but if they're slightly overloaded, which is the tendency, then it creates more of an issue sometimes. So basically, it is a twin cylinder, air-cooled engine, no radiator, which is good for you down there.
Right.
But the biggest thing is make sure your airflow, this is your intake for the airflow to cool the engine down. These engines can have a standard operating temperature of around 350 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So if you ever have to change the belts on the pump or generator or something, make sure your heat shields are intact and make sure your belt guards are in place, just to make sure you're not having an issue with the heat from an air-cooled engine. Because the heat coming back on here, the air comes in here, blows out the back. The muffler can be up to 1,000 degrees.
Okay.
So you just want to make sure
is
that
it better
you
to do
keep
it when it's cool then, probably?
Oh, your oil changing
Yeah.
or belting out? Yeah. You don't want to try to touch the engine when it's hot.
Obviously. Okay.
Pull it off.
All right.
So basically, we do have a spent air filter. No tools needed. You can spin it off, change your air filter. Tends to be like once a year unless you're in a real dusty environment.
What type of air filter is that? Can I pick it up from the local Napa? Or do
you know what I always say? You know, you just spin that wing nut.
Right.
My suggestion is to start a relationship with a local Vanguard warranty repair center, what they call a diamond dealer.
Okay.
Nothing's worth than you needing something done quick, and you roll up and go, oh, I've never been here before. Okay, well, let me set you up in the system. Come back next Tuesday. You know, if you're already an existing customer, even if it just pops up in our, okay, we should be able to get you in.
So they've got Vanguard distributors around the nation.
Oh yeah,
there's got to be one somewhere else
everywhere.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Typically, if you go to vanguardengines.com, you can look for local service and diamond dealers.
Would it also be best to take and have the oil changes and stuff done by them as well?
If you need that extra help, I mean, it's not bad to have that in out. You know, you tend to, if I got a guy that's never been here before, didn't buy the equipment from me, you know what I mean? You know, there's some other clients that are customers that are a little more of a priority. But if we can knock out something in an hour and get you in and out, it's just an idea that I've been around shops all the time, and if you're an existing customer and you're buying your oil filters, your air filters, your spark plugs,
you're going to get better
fuel
treatment. Yeah.
They're going to see that you've been there more than once and whatever, and that way if something did go wrong, like your starter went out or some other little, they're going to be more apt to get you in and out.
Gotcha.
And I always say I don't want to. That's why I tend not to even sell the oil filter, their air filters, or spark plugs, or fuel filter. I want you to have that upfront relationship with somebody that can really bail you out of trouble.
That makes sense, yeah.
With the kind of money you can make with this per day, you don't want to be at their mercy.
Yeah, and I need this thing running, yeah, for sure.
Right, exactly. So I'm a big fan of that. So VanguardEngines.com, local dealers, diamond dealers are the ones you want. They're the ones that actually pull the warranty work.
Okay.
More apt to be able to work with, maybe more busy here. So even a box of donuts that they might remember you by or
Hey,
something.
I've been in sales, I know how that works.
Yeah. So whatever it takes to keep you going, because every day is way too expensive downtime, and it could be just a silly little issue. Inventory on these are much better. Other brands can take 3, 4, 5 weeks to get a specific part in. These are always been pretty well managed. These are really what the landscape world uses on the big commercial landscape equipment, Dixie Chopper, Skag, Husqvarna. So they're more popular and more commercial units. That's why they're higher inventory than some other brand like Honda. I had a guy waiting like 3, 4 weeks just for ignition coil, and he's done. What are you gonna do?
So he was down for 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, he hit one of his units.
Ouch.
Yeah, he lucky he had another one. So that's scary, and and not that uncommon in that brand, you know, because they're more focused on pressure washers, and not as high priority as landscapers, you know, which have many of the more engines out there.
For sure, yeah.
So typically, the other part is you do have an inline fuel filter. You want to change
that?
that?
Need to be changed?
Typically, every 100 hours, it's only $2, $3 or something like that. You got 2 quarts of engine oil only in the engine. We recommend the higher temperature, good quality synthetic oils in there. And I kind of go a little overboard at times where I like a 50-hour oil change. Because if you figure, how long did it take you to drive up here from Texas?
Drive time was exactly 21 hours and like 6 minutes.
Okay, so if you figure driving up, driving home, and driving back over to Louisiana or something, once you change your oil, if you're towing the trailer home and that whole way there back.
I'm definitely changing the oil in my truck when I get home.
So I like, so if you put 50 hours with this kind of revenue stream per hour and that, and then what I like about that, you do have an hour meter here, you'll be able to record that.
Good.
So
it tells me how many hours I've got on it.
On the runtime.
Nice, okay.
So if you do 50, and just say it's Wednesday like today, and you don't have time to stop until Friday or Saturday, like Saturday, you can run over that extra 20 hours or so and not worry about, you know, exceeding the limit. But this, they even say every 100 hours is okay. A lot of times my guys will do a oil every 50, 100, or 50, 150, 250, but every 100 hour they do oil and filter.
All right, and you're saying synthetic, not a synthetic blend, but synthetic.
Well, halfway decent, one that's been rated highly for small engines and high temperature. You know, remember 350 is normal operating temperature. If it's 110 degrees in Texas and you're running this non-stop all day, you know, you want a decent quality because it's only 2 quarts of oil. And like I said, you could do oil filters on oil and filter on every 100-hour key, and just only the 2 quarts of oil on every 50. Just run it. Your filter will last. Yeah, it's not a big issue, but you know that works. What's nice is there's actually a drain hose right here that comes off the engine that allows you to just open a valve and drain your engine oil. So you can put a little pan over here.
Well, that's easy peasy. Okay.
So it isn't like you're doing, you know, trying to get up and under the machine or unbolting the unit to do.
Okay, gotcha.
This is just quick, open the valve, shut the valve, put 2 quarts of oil in, you're done. It could take you 10 minutes, you know, max. Because it does take a little time for the oil to drain.
Sure. Okay.
Other than that, you're good.
All right.
From that point, it is an electric start engine. The starter will not drive the pump at 3,500 PSI. So you have to release the pressure when we start the engine.
Okay.
We have a couple ways to do that. Any gun, which you have 2 guns and 2 hose reels, you can open the gun and release the pressure that way. We also have a bypass valve on the manifold in the back that will allow you to open the valve to start the engine so you're not overloading the starter.
So once I've used it and I move on to the next place, before I start this, I need to release the pressure.
Well, it depends. Well, here's
service.
basically the key is if you're going in a community where you've got every other house, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
You could actually leave the machine running, the heater on, the recycling system on. We have what we call a cool bypass built in too. There's 2 bypass systems on here. So the cool bypass is just a natural one that will pump cold water back. High pressure gets released and it gets pumped back to the supply tank. So that water is just cool water circulating through the tank and the pressure washer pump.
Okay.
And the power washer. That, you know, I mean, could go 4 or 5 minutes without it really needing to shut the engine off. You can go longer if you had to, but it's in the cool bypass mode, meaning only cold water going back to the tank.
Okay.
And I'll show you the valve on the side where that is and where it comes to. And the other option, like I said, we have a manifold that allows you. So what I like to do with this is if you're going to start the pressure washer in a residential neighborhood, you can either open up a gun to release the water, but now you're spraying water, you know, on the grass or driveway or street, or just in general, open the air. By having the built-in release valve on the back, I'll show it to you with the camera real quick here because we're yapping about it. Make you understand it a little easier too. So what happens is high pressure is going to go into this manifold block. This comes from the power washer in over here. This bypass, you notice, is a low pressure hose.
Okay.
It is actually right now in the open position. So the high pressure water will come through here
Then down.
and down, and this goes back to the supply tank.
Okay.
So if I want to start the unit right now with no carts on there and all the guns closed, this gun and there's another gun here on that other reel, all I have to do is release this pressure. Okay? So what you don't want to do with this valve, and I'm jumping the gun a little bit, is to leave this on between the house. Don't confuse this bypass and the cool bypass. This actually is hot water coming back through here. So what can happen is, say we were fired up and you decided to open this between the different houses and you're just pumping 200-degree hot water back to the supply tank. Now it's getting heated again and again because you're full circulating this.
Okay.
You could do everything like crack the tanks. You can kind of cook the pump.
Oh, no, okay.
You could do a lot of damage. You can actually exceed the steam rating.
So between the between the bins that are houses, what do we?
Right, you leave this off.
So
This
so
100%.
to do the job, we
No,
turn it up.
no. This is strictly to start the engine and to
Okay.
shut the engine off.
Do I start it with it down?
Yes. You
And-
would leave this, yeah, so we'll start, when I go to start the unit here shortly, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have this valve open
Okay.
to release the pressure so the starter can turn over.
Okay.
If I had it off and we were pumping, you know, turning the pump, but it was trap pressure, you would start to see pressure build
You're
up.
just building pressure.
The
There's no-
starter
nowhere to
wouldn't even be
release.
able to release. You ever start a car when it was in first gear on a stick shift and it kind of moves?
It jumps, yeah.
It's not going to drive just off your starter. It's going to ruin your starter if you try to go down the road.
Right.
You know what I mean? So basically, by releasing the pressure here, there's no pressure on the pump, the pump and through the heater and all. So the engine will start right up. It's kind of like being in neutral on a car. So we'll do this. We'll go over this a couple times and make sure you got it down pat.
Okay.
The biggest thing is, the biggest warning and the biggest thing you can do wrong is leave this open when the machine is hot. It will cook. The pump
So when do you turn it off?
the minute we start the engine, I'm going to turn the thermostat on and the thermostat, adjust the thermostat, turn the thermostat on. I'm going to turn on the recycling system pumps and vacuums. And with all done in 30 seconds or less normally,
Okay.
I'll come back around here, and the minute we know water's going through, what's nice is water will pump through here. Any air that's in the system will be pumped out. So this is kind of like a bleeder line, you know, a relief valve.
Gotcha.
So once the engine started, thermostat's on, switches are on for the recycling unit, I'll come back here and I will instantly shut this off. You'll see the gauge go from 0 to like 4,000 when I do that. Now all these valves with this manifold are pressurized. So we'll be ready to, if you want to,
So the left and right is back here.
in the head, yeah,
And
left,
the
right.
reel is
This
gonna
reel,
be
what we've done is, we're always into safety issues for you and anybody in the neighborhood, et cetera. Remember residential areas. If I would have saw this as a kid, I'd probably run up and grab it and shoot my sister with it. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
you know what I mean? So just in general.
It looks like fun, doesn't it?
I mean, we're good. I mean, I don't have anything against my sister, never did, but I was stupid as a kid. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Doing dumb stuff, you
we were
know.
kids, yeah.
So what you can do is you can actually shut the valves off here. So when you open this, there's no pressure on the gun. So when you're ready to clean hoppers, clean bins, and you're ready to work your monitoring, you can open up the pressure line, which will now feed the water to the reel under high pressure hot water. Now the gun is live. The hose reel and gun is live. So just like you go to Walmart to go get some stuff you want, you shut this off in order to make sure and release the pressure. You open this valve.
Turn this off, and then you spray until the water is done.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple ways to do it too. You can also release it through here.
The bypass, okay.
If the machine's already off, you can just have this open this real quick, and it'll spray back the tank. That way you don't have to get anything wet.
Gotcha.
So bottom line, by leaving this set up this way, what I like is even to leave this open when it's off, in the open, because if somebody was to start the engine or do anything, it's not under pressure, and it's ready now for you to start your machine. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the end of the day, or at the end of you're going to lunch for an hour or something, you could turn the heater off, all the recycling systems off. You can leave the valve open for about, you come back here, all this stuff's off, and the machine's still running, but the burner's off. You got to cool the heater off. You can either cool the heater off by using the gun and wand for a minute and a half, or you can open this valve at the very end of the day or the lunch break. And with the burner off and the engine running for about a minute and a half, you're going to let that little bit of hot water come out to cool down. So this is also could be used to release the pressure to start the engine. And whenever all your burners off and everything, you leave it open for 1 minute just to get rid of the heat from the power washer.
And how long should the engine run before you need to cool it down?
You can run it all day long.
Okay.
I mean, if you're not stopping for overnight period or for hours and hours and hours, what happens with as long as it's heat and being ran, there's something called a hot shutdown. And a hot shutdown would be if we were to do, people are just staring at ball valves, it kind of could get a little bored. So, this is your thermostat control here, and your on-off switch for the burner. So bottom line is that, just say, because it's quiet now, we can talk. We fired up the machine. We're cleaning bins. Now we're done with the demo today, and you're ready to head back to Texas. What I will do with the machine running, I'm going to go ahead and turn the burner off, which is down.
Okay.
Turn the thermostat off. Okay, and then without the heater on anymore, we want to get rid of the hot water that's stuck in the heating coil.
Okay.
Because right now it's 200-degree hot water, hotter because it's in a flame chamber, you know what I mean? If you do not cool off the coil with water running through the power washer pump and the heater for about a minute and a half, when you start this back up tomorrow when you got back to Texas, you may get solid rust and black carbon coming out of it. It's a weird chemical reaction when you do a hot shutdown where the coil can kind of have this rust and carbon deposits. By you cooling off the unit, you're eliminating almost all of that rust and carbon. So if you got a worker working for you and you come in and the first thing you do is check in the morning, let me see if you're cooling the head down, or cooling the machine off, and you start to hit the power washer up, the power washer, and you hold the gun open and you see rust stream coming out, they say, make sure you cool the coil off, because it has
how many times, obviously that's going to happen, or can happen.
Yeah.
How many times does it take for it to basically
create damage?
Create damage, yeah,
That could vary. I mean, it may not be that often, but you're creating rust and carbon. You are having a,
But
like,
take your time and do it right.
metallic chemical reaction, or whatever you want to call it, in there.
Okay.
So just let it cool down for the minute. If you can't, you know,
And that's just as simple as going off and then
and
turn
then
it off.
running, opening up that one bypass in the back.
Bypass, let it run
Because
for
you're only
20
gonna,
minutes.
it's only gonna take about a minute and a half to cool off.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of hot water that's in there that runs through. Don't forget, once it cools off, so that the water in the tank should not get cooked, you know what I mean? So that's why we put the
process. It just needs to be done.
It's a process that needs to be done. Hot shutdowns are not great.
Gotcha.
So bottom line, you wanna make sure you do that on there. So basically, the other part here, triplex plunger pump, great pump. You actually have a sight glass. The red dot is your oil level here.
Okay.
So on level ground, you could just look to make sure your oil's good.
So as long as the level's up to that red dot, we're good.
Right, with the machine off, if you started and run it, it may disappear on you. I had somebody call me about that too, and got a little freaked out. So as long as this is in where it is, you're in good shape.
And what type of oil is that?
You can use a synthetic, but also they have a pump oil that's normally a non-detergent, like 30 weight hydraulic oil.
Okay.
In there that you could use. The other thing is the dipsticks right here. Sometimes they actually add a dipstick just in case you couldn't see the sight glass, depends how that was mounted. So you got a little dipstick here.
Is this where the oil goes in as well?
Yeah, that's where you fill the oil.
Okay.
And the nice part, really nice part, we got the same drain on the engine as on the pump here. as
Oh,
we do on
nice.
the engine.
Well, you guys thought ahead, didn't you?
The mechanic engineer does, trust me, when it comes to all the features. The other thing is, real creative. If you notice, most pressure washer pumps are a pain to change belts because they're a slotted rail with holes, and the pump can move side to side, up, down, you know, like it's not straight as an arrow. You're always using a straight edge and a couple pry bars, and you need like 3 hands to really put the belts on. What we did here is we actually put the pump rails like a saddle on a horse. There's a box frame, and if you look here, these 2 bolts here,
They're on the kind of a slide,
you just
right?
loosen these up, and you got a tensioning bolt here, go in and out on the pump.
Right.
It cannot get cockeyed. These belts last longer because they're not misadjusted. They're lined up perfectly
Okay.
to the engine pulley. What's great is a couple loose bolts in, out, so if you're not a mechanic, just say, hey, can I have you guys change my pump? We're not gonna have time because they think it's a 2-3 hour job or whatever. Just, no, check it out before you say anything. Look at the way this is done. They're gonna go, oh, wow, that's
Now,
great.
If I need to change that pump, would I get another one from you or order it down to Texas? And then
We could do that. I mean, we're pretty much, you're gonna get a discount already established in there, so, but you're able to get the original equipment OEM parts
I'd prefer
without
that.
being gouged, we can help you with that.
And how long should that pump last?
3,000 to 5,000 hours.
So another, how many,
Huge amount of lifetime.
300,000 miles, 400,000 miles? A couple
Yeah.
of years probably. at
Right,
least.
right. A couple years, you know, full time, if not longer.
All right, very good.
Yeah, I almost say if you ever wore out your first engine naturally and you had 4,500 hours on it, you need to throw a party. There's a lot of money to be made during that time, you know?
I like that.
Yeah. So, it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Now, you do have an 18-gallon diesel tank, which
Yeah.
is white. Make sure you clarified on that. It's marked on the cap.
And what does that run?
That runs your diesel fired burner. The heating system is diesel fired.
Okay.
Kind of like a fuel oil furnace for homes. Very similar design. It's a fuel oil or diesel fuel fired burner system. What happens for flame, you need spark fuel and air to build any flame. This system has a blower motor, a blower fan, a fuel pump, and igniter. So we got air, spark, and fuel. If you see this thing outside, it's like a little flamethrower inside this heating chamber here.
Okay.
What's inside the heating chamber is a half-inch schedule 80 steel pipe that's rolled into a coil. That's why they call them a heating
And the
coil.
water goes across that, and that's how it heats the water.
There's like 170 feet of coil in there.
Okay.
And they actually don't use pancakes, which are a way to roll the coil up in like a cinnamon bun roll, which are very restrictive. You lose a lot of back pressure. Your pressure drops before it goes in, and, you know, through it, and your heat rising in it is good. We have a special kind of coil in here that eliminates the pancakes. We get tremendous amount of heat rise, and we have barely any pressure drop through the coil. When it got changed out, it added about 375 pounds of pressure extra at the gun.
Wow.
You lost so much pressure through here. So 3,500 9-gallon a minute compared to the economy machines that are 8-gallon, or they claim 8-gallon machines. Some of them are happy to even get only 6.5 gallons. They're not 8, they're like 6.5 gallon at 3,500. They're under horsepower, they're under not enough BTUs. It's just a cheaper way of doing it. You got the Rolls Royce H1 Hummer all power washers. And the other thing in the coil here, there's an insulation blanket. There's a lot of heat and flame in there. I mean, it gets super hot. It's 600,000 BTUs.
Yikes.
And we actually put 2 insulation blankets around there to contain the heat and the flame. That way it's kind of cool to the touch when you run it.
Is it going to burn your hand if you touch it? Or?
No, over here on this side you'll be all right.
Okay.
And what else, the advantage is, if you think about weather like here in Michigan right now, if you have a well-insulated home and the best furnace technically on the market, you can have the lowest heating bill.
Correct.
If your windows are open and you're underpowered furnace, that furnace can run, if you set it on 70 degrees and the windows are open and it's wintertime, when's the next time that furnace turns off? In the spring, when it's 70 degrees.
Yeah, months.
So we have the brands that are out there that are non-insulated, not a high output, so they'll never hit 180, 200 degrees at all at 8 gallon a minute. So what happens is that you set the thermostat above what it could do, the burner's never going to turn off while it's under pressure. This system saves you up to $1,000 to $1,500 a month just on diesel fuel, because this is such a high efficiency burner.
How much fuel am I going to go through? Say,
Good question.
If I'm doing 200 carts or 200 blends.
Here's the deal. This is part of my sales pitch because it's huge. We're going to get you. We got to give you some tin pads. It burns roughly 1.5 gallons of diesel an hour.
Whew. So I might have to fill up a couple times a day then.
No, 18-gallon tank, a day and a half, 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the deal. The economy model that I love to talk about, that they think they're saving so much money on, they can burn between 4 gallons an hour and 5.5 gallons an hour.
Oh no.
So if I could save you 4 gallons of diesel fuel usage up to that per hour, you're saving up to $1,600 a month just on heating the water. So this basically it pays for another trailer.
Which I plan on buying at some point.
So bottom line, yeah. So we spent like $900 on this upgrade here. What the difference is compared to the cheaper coil. That's not the whole power wash, just the heating system.
Right.
That takes out of our margin, but puts it in your pocket. So you're going to see that saving months after month, year after year.
Okay.
The nice part too, because it kicks on, gets hot, and shuts off so quickly, this doesn't need to run the entire 60 minutes to keep it hot. It's just like a home furnace. It kicks on, shuts off.
It knows when.
It has a thermostat control.
Depending on how I have this.
Right. Your thermostat will indicate to keep and maintain the heat. And like I said, if you see that, when you see this at night, you'll see, flames and heat. It's like a very powerful unit. You don't see it as much during the day, but at night it's a light show. You'll see that it is not running all night long. It's 10 or 15 minutes out of the hour.
Right.
It still had the 5 gallon it could put out 5+ gallons of diesel fuel an hour if it's nonstop lit, but because it's got the ability to cycle on, off, to sustain the heat, the insulation, everything that's all part of this system, I get guys that, I put one of these on a flatbed truck for a janitorial and pressure cleaning company in Miami. He had not even a bad brand, 8-gallon hot water machine on one half, and then he got the new machine, a 35-9 mine on the other. He came back a couple weeks later and goes, Dan, I can't figure it out. I go, what? He goes, we've got about the same size tanks on both machines. I'm filling up the little guy, the 8-gallon machine, twice a day, if not more, depends on how long I work. And your machine goes like, the same tank lasts 2 days. He goes, it doesn't make sense. I'm using about 3-4 gallons of diesel more per hour on the Econo model over years, and your machine is even twice as fast, so it's even more safe. When I do a parking area or flat area, my machine will clean twice as much square footage and only use about 1/4 of the amount of fuel to begin with. So it's actually even almost 8 times less fuel, you know what I mean? By the time you base it based on the square footage area.
Right, okay.
So he was stunned, and he used that other machine as a cold water rinse behind this one, because he said, I'm tired of wasting my money on fuel. So, unique advantage. You'll see it when you get there, and how impressive that is.
Okay.
Once again, you do have triple belts driving the pump. You got a single belt driving this bad boy, which is a 2,900 watt Italian manufactured brushless generator. So that's a 115 volt generator right there. That generator is powering the oversized diesel fire burner. I never saw an 8-gallon 12 volt hot water machine. They are terrible. They do not last. Your burners go bad. Imagine if you can't crank the starter for too long without burning the starter, how are you going to run a 12 volt system that's running all day long with that blower motor and all? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, 12 volt units aren't bad. My belief is keep it at 5.5 gallons or less with a 12 volt. When you try 7 or 8 gallons, it's just I've seen hundreds of them go down. I've seen complete burner systems go out. We got a motion sensor up there by the steps. Hopefully we'll get the light back on. So when it comes to these burners, you know, I've gone years and years and years without even replacing a whole burner assembly.
Okay.
Because the 115 volt burner, they're designed like a home furnace. They're designed to run all the time.
Now, if this does ever go out, is this something that you can send me and I can just bolt in myself?
Yeah, the burner's over here. I'll show you what I'm talking about with the burner too. The quick, so we don't have the same view on the video. This is a Beckett high output, high efficiency burner unit. And it has a blower motor. This is your motor assembly here. Inside here, the squirrel cage, like a air conditioning, squirrel cage fan. You got a fuel pump right here. So the motor is driving the fan. It's got a connector that connects to the fuel pump too. So that does it all. And then you have the electrical spark, which is the igniter system up here. So here's your spark, fuel, and air.
And that creates
it's all done. And that creates the flamethrower
and
that's blowing into the heating coil.
Okay. All right.